Welcome ladies and gentlemen to a new Warzone Season 6 video. In this video we're going to take a look at the stats of the SPR208 now it's been nerfed. We will also compare this to the HDR as well as the Kar 98 so you know which one is the best. Before we get into the details, we know that the majority of you watching this video right now are not subscribed to the channel yet, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow us on Twitch. That way you can keep up to date with everything regarding Cold War as well as Warzone. Also, credit goes to True Game Data inside this video as well, as we've taken stats directly from that website, so if you want to see that, the links are down below. We're quickly going to go over the patch notes before we get into the actual numbers of things. So the first thing they changed was an increase to the flinch to the SPR208, a minor reduction to the ADS speed of the base weapon, and then for the variable zoom scope, they moved the weapon closer to the person's face whilst ADSing, and then there's also a small reduction to ADS speed on the variable zoom scope as well. On top of that, there was a reduction to bullet velocity as well as a reduction to ADS speed on the Norma mags and the Lapua mags. So what does this all mean in terms of the actual numbers here? So on the screen what you're going to see is the old stats taken from True Game Data, and this is for before the weapon got nerfed, and then straight after that you'll actually see the stats for after the weapon got nerfed. So the main things you're actually looking out for here is the aim down sight speed, because that has changed on both the mag attachments as well as the base weapon. So what we can see that the aim down sight speed on the base weapon has changed from 333 milliseconds up to 350 milliseconds. Also, when you add on the .338 mags, it changes the aim down sight time from 288 milliseconds to 405 milliseconds, which is a massive increase. The next thing we need to take a look into is the bullet velocity, because that has definitely changed when you're using the 338 mags. So what the bullet velocity changed to is from pretty much hit scan now to 655 meters per second when you're using the Lapua or the Norma mags. Other than that, not much else has changed in terms of the SPR208. The final thing that did change was the bullet drop. The bullet drop on the .300 mags is actually better than the bullet drop on the .338 mags, because you do get that extra damage boost on the Lapua mags. And the important thing to mention here is that the Norma mags have the second best bullet drop right after the HDR, still beating the AX50 and the Kar 98. Another really important thing to mention here is that the bullet velocity with the Norma mags or the .338 mags is still faster than the HDR by about 10 meters per second. Not a huge difference, but still something you should take note of. But keep in mind, this is for the base weapon here. What is definitely pretty clear is that the movement speed as well as the aim down sight movement speed is better on the Kar 98 as well as the SPR208. So there's still a reason to use both of these guns, especially if you play more aggressive. Another thing I wanted to show off as well here was with attachments added onto both of the guns. So what I did was I picked the longest barrel attachment as well as the mono suppressor, which is pretty much the best class setup for any sniper rifle. Most stats like reload time and things like that won't change. However, the main ones we need to focus on is the ADS speed now, as well as the bullet velocity. With all the longest barrel attachments as well as the .338 mags, the bullet velocity on the SPR208 is still faster by round about 10 meters per second, and the ADS time for the SPR208 is 526 milliseconds, whereas it's 573 milliseconds on the HDR. Now what does this mean for the SPR208? Now it means that the best class setup now has changed, and that is what I'll show you on the screen just now. So you want the mono suppressor, now you definitely want the longest barrel. You'd like the tac laser, either the solo zero optic as well as the variable optic. I just prefer the quicker ADS speed, and then you want to use the .300 Norma mags to make sure you get the least amount of bullet drop as possible. Now this is the setup I was testing in the gameplay in the background inside Plunder, and it's very viable still inside Warzone. And depending on the ranges you're using this gun, it still somewhat feels like hit scan. Now it's definitely not as bad as it was before, but now it feels much more balanced. Now what does all of this mean for the SPR208? Now this is still a very viable gun inside Warzone. Unfortunately you won't be hitting as many quickscopes for this, so I don't think it's very useful inside multiplayer. However, like I said in Warzone, it's still a second best option to the HDR. It's still way better than the Kar 98 and also the AX50. But that's all for this video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave us a like as it helps YouTube recommend us to more people. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and thank you very much for watching.